Now we're going to take you into the mind of a hiring manager who needs to bring on a new employee. If you can better understand how hiring managers think, you'll have a much easier time putting your resume together in a way that improves your chances of getting an interview. This will also be helpful during the interview so that you can answer their questions as well as possible. The first thing you have to realize is that hiring new employees is a huge pain in the butt for most businesses. Most managers only hire new people when they absolutely have to, and that means they're running their business short-staffed until they're able to bring someone new on board and get them trained up. During the hiring process, they're probably doing a lot of the work the employee that they're hiring will do, in addition to their usual responsibilities. That means they're essentially covering two jobs plus the added work of hiring, which is a lot of work for anybody. While the hiring process itself is a big pain for a manager, hiring the wrong person can often be even worse. The last thing a manager wants is to go through the whole hiring process only to have the applicant quit shortly after or not actually be able to do the job very well. We've all had to do something, either a job or some kind of project or activity, with someone who just isn't helpful or motivated. In cases like those, you would be better off if they didn't even show up. This is a manager's worst nightmare. Hiring and paying someone who makes the team worse off at the end of all of it. Hiring is also really expensive, especially for smaller companies. It can be a big risk to bring on a new employee and pay them a fair amount without knowing if they're actually worth their wages. It can easily cost thousands of dollars in time and money to advertise an open position, go through the full hiring process, and train someone without even knowing if they're going to be a good fit or beneficial to the company in the long run. Now, once a hiring manager is able to get a stack of resumes in front of them and they're interviewing applicants, they have another bigger problem. Like, how do you actually tell who the best person for the job is? This is an incredibly difficult problem with a lot on the line if something goes wrong. Most managers have a one-page resume and maybe an hour-long interview to pick the best person for a job. This is really challenging, and a lot of it is based really just on how the manager feels about the applicant. Did they seem trustworthy? Do they seem professional? Will they have the work ethic to show up every day and do a good job? They have to make a big decision with only a few pieces of information to go on. You can make their job a lot easier by understanding what they're looking for on your resume or in an interview and being prepared to give that information quickly and easily. They'll definitely appreciate it. When it comes to resumes, if they're difficult to read, too long, or too confusing, they're going to get thrown in the trash in favor of those who make their lives easier with a properly formatted and easy to read resume. One final thing to consider is just how long the hiring process can be and how much time it takes from the hiring manager's day. It can take weeks or months to find and hire a good worker, even for simpler jobs. This is time that the manager would much rather spend on their actual job instead of finding new employees. They want to hire a good employee as quickly as possible, and anything you can do to make that easier is going to be appreciated. That means doing things like putting together an easy-to-read resume, being on time to any appointments or interviews, and just being as prepared as you can be to answer any of the typical questions that they might have. Next, we're going to dive into what hiring managers are looking for and the key questions you need to answer to get hired.